Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, folks. If you can hear me, let's go to audience here. Raise your hand if you can see the airplanes and the jets. Aiden's got his hand up. Can you all see that? Great. Now, I want to. We're going to get about flying today, and a high schooler saw a blackbird. It's one of the fastest SR-17 blackbirds in lab last Monday. It made me think of a story about how fast said blackbird is. So I want to share it. I think it's a clever little story, and then we'll get into X-Plane. So we're starting up 10 here in a moment. Let me go ahead and fire this up for us. All right, let's go and do that. Now, they're going to talk in this video. It's only a 5-minute video, but it's cool. And it's a great story. They're going to talk to ground control, and that's the people, which is a very good command, flight traffic controllers. They follow wherever the planes are going. And especially back before GPS and everything else, pilots would sometimes call in to check their ground speed. So that way, the speed their instruments are saying is how fast the airplane is going. And the SR-71, so the person telling the story is an SR-71 pilot, and we're going to go through it together. So let's watch this.
It's called the LA Speed Story. And it was just a story about one day it was really cool being SR-71 pilot. Walter and I were doing a training mission around the United States where you just were building up hours and time. And we take off out of Beale, hit a tanker in Idaho, rip on up to Montana, zip across Denver, hang a right turn in Albuquerque, out over Los Angeles, up to Seattle, back into Sacramento, 2 hours, 21 minutes. And you just do that and you do it backwards, and you hit a tanker. It was just to gain crew coordination, build your hours. We're on our last training mission. We're over Tucson. I can see downtown LA from Tucson. We're at 89,000 feet. I can see the whole western United States bathed in a warm October fall glow. I can see the chain of Rocky Mountains from Canada to New Mexico. I could just see the most beautiful picture laid at my feet, and the air as smooth as glass. Not a gauge moving in the cockpit. It was perfect. Now I'm thinking, we bad. And I feel sorry for Walter because he has to monitor 5 radios in the back seat, so I flipped the switch up just to listen. And LA Center is they control all, when you fly Southwest Air, their guys controlling everybody. But we're above controlled airspace. So they have us on their scope, but they're not talking to us. Now, there's controllers all over the country. Jacksonville Center, Chicago Center, Seattle Center. You know. It's the same guy. They all talk the same. And it's really cool the way they talk because they make you feel important as a pilot. They don't just say, yeah, okay, here's your thing. They make you feel really cool. So sure enough, this was pre-GPS days. Some Cessna guy has to know his ground speed. LA Center, Cessna, November Tango Alpha. You got a ground speed readout for us? Now, Center would like to say, who cares? Get off free. But no, he'll talk to him like he's John Glenn. Cessna November Alpha, we show you 90 knots, 90 knots on the ground. And they do that sing-song, but that's how they talk. And it makes you feel kind of cool. Right after that, a Twin Bonanza came up to pimp the guy for speed, I guess. And LA Center, Twin Beach, whatever. You got a ground speed readout for us?
So do you understand what's going on here? This guy's in an SR-71. It's 2 crew aircraft. They're listening on a radio frequency, and they hear a Cessna call for ground speed. Air traffic controllers don't care. It's a little... I've flown a Cessna 172. It's the go-to airplane starting. Many people learn how to fly. It's like your Honda Civic. Nothing. It is not a terribly fast airplane. Great training airplane, never met. Then a guy and another guy jumps on the radio and says the Bonanza to show off that he's faster and says his speed.
And Senator likes you, God, it's Friday. Why me, God? Please just get off it. But he's going to talk to him like he's Air Force One. Twin Beach, we show you 121, 20 knots on the ground. And right after that, a Navy F-18 out of Lemoore popped up on frequency. And you knew it was a Navy guy because he talked really slick on the radio. Center Dusty 5-2 speed check. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Dusty 5.2 has a ground speed indicator in that $1 million F-18 cockpit. It's right there in the heads-up display. Why is he calling center to broadcast his speed? I get it. We have just the meanest, baddest, fastest military jet in the valley today. We're taking our little Hornet jet over Mount Whitney and ripping across Death Valley. We want everyone from Fresno to the coast to know what real speed is. And you can almost hear a little glee in the controller's voice, like, we have put an end to this. Dusty 5.2, we show you 620, 6.2s.
So right now, that F-18 Hornet is flying through, request ground speed to put an end to this, to say, hey, we're the fastest jet out there. All right, does that make sense? Okay. So let's listen to the rest of this. This is a true story, by the way.
0 knots across the ground. And it was that across the ground. See, that little knife, like, I hope nobody else has the nerve to get on frequency now. And there wasn't an airliner from Seattle to San Diego that wanted to be next on Freak. It's sort of an etiquette thing amongst flyers. And a 12-year-old was reaching for the mic button. And I thought, oh, no, wait, Walter's in charge of the radios. I flew single seat all those years, but I'm in the family model now, and I'm like, no, it's the Navy. They must die. They must die now. And I thought, no, but if I do, I'll upset Walter, and I want us to be a good crew. And at that moment, I heard a click of the mic button in the back seat. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter and I became a crew at that moment. In his best innocent voice, LA Center, Aspen 30. Have you got a ground speed radar for us? You could almost hear a collective gasp on Freak, like, oh, the poor fools didn't hear the previous transmissions. Oh, they got crushed like a grape. It's just a pilot thing. But Center had to give you that same voice. Aspen 30, we show you 1,992 knots across the ground. When I knew I was going to like Walter a lot is when he came back and said, Center, we're showing a little closer to 2,000. Ladies and gentlemen, we did not hear another transmission on that frequency all the way to the coast. The king of speed lived, the Navy had been flamed, and a crew had been formed. For just a moment, it was absolutely fun being the fastest guys in the block.
And here they are. Here's Walter and the pilot right there. So I don't know, it's a great story. So what do you guys think? All right. It's just kind of funny. Imagine the surprise of everybody there when these guys are thinking they're the fastest, and you get the fastest plane base Blackbird. That plane is going faster. You know, there's almost like Mach 8 times get it, which is pretty. It would have just been cool. You know, here's this little Cessna. This other thing's just ripping past him, going 20 times faster than the other one. This plane, the Blackbird, when it's going its fastest, and set some speed records, is faster than a bullet. So, anyways, and the Air Force and the Navy like to give each other grief. So the Navy pilot thought he was fastest, but for that afternoon, it's clearly the Air Force. All right? Okay. Hey, another reminder. If you haven't done it already, put up some bridges. Go ahead. Get your best score. All right? That's what we've got going for there. So let me go ahead and hit this up. Now, you all did this yesterday, so I'm going to go this part just super fast. Just for anybody who might have reviewed, just a quick review. You looked at flight setting up. You looked at instruments and taking off, adjusting view, airspeed, and altitude. And you used the quick flight setup. You used this screen. Selected the Cessna 172. Selected the weather. You could also, and it stopped at. So this was the instrument panel we started to use. Airspeed indicator, altitude indicator, a lot of blue. You're going up, a lot of brown, going down. We'll come back to these a little bit later. Altimeter is how high off the ground you are. There's a coordinated turn, rate of turn. Put those wings on the L or the R. You'll turn 360 degrees in 2 minutes. There's a heading indicator, geographic north, not a compass, that goes magnetic north. You have vertical airspeed indicator, telling you if you're climbing or descending. Does anybody have that? Any questions on that? How do you send them? You attach them and load them up, and you put it on the Google Drive. Send it to, Google Classroom. And just post it there. Hey, Kevin, tell me a bullet goes 1,000 miles an hour, so it's just twice as fast as a bullet that day. Thank you, Kevin. Now, so just get the bridges in there, Calder. Now, next thing, and just a reminder, there is a lab this Thursday. There is no lab Saturday. There's a lab this Thursday, no lab Saturday. There's a compass that sets up on top of the airplane. And there's the tachometer. It tells you how many times the engine turns per minute. And is a useful tool to tell you if your throttle's up or down. You never look at one tool, you want to look at a lot. Okay. Because I'm using knots, not miles per hour. Knots about 1.3 actually. So anyways, here we go. Point is going a lot faster than a bullet. Okay, takeoff is really a couple different combinations. Throttle control, fuel mixture, right there. So you push in the throttle. Throttle control, and you push that and you hit pause. You push this black button in. And so you got paused, and by now you've also released the brake if you haven't done so before. So that was speed for brake light. I'm sorry, you skipped a step there. Then there was pause. You have the square. You're going to fly inside the square. Press P to unpause. The plane's going to start rolling down the runway. It's going to want to pull left, so you're going to want to go to the right a little bit. When this speedometer in your right is in knots, gets about that, then it really goes. Okay? You just tell us, Calder, all you do is write down the score that you get. On Google Classroom, email me the score. Just announce what your score is. The top few scores, I'll ask to see your drawing, confirm that you got that, and we'll be good to go. I hope that answers questions. If not, write another one. I'll try to do my best. And, you can cycle through the views of the plane. E does that outside the plane. To the right, Q counter across the plane. So E and Q. And later when we start flying here, you can preview this. W and Shift 8. Shift 8, I always call it the follow God mode. Never flown that way. Can't. So we usually use a Dahlia. No, you just email me the score. The score is the value of it. I'm sorry, Calder. The value of the bridge. Cheapest bridge wins, buddy. Cheapest bridge wins. Okay? We'll wait here a second. Make sure he's set. All right. Then, hope that made sense. Let me look over, see if he got his answer that question. Okay, Calder. I hope you see it. There's a fine answer. At the end here, if you still don't know, I'll show you at the end. All right. Stability was the big issue on an airplane. You have vertical axis. The plane, imagine there's a stake going through it. Swings both this way or that way. That would be along that, and it would control yaw. Longitudinal axis would be roll, and pitch, where there's up and down, as if a stake went through it this way. And they understood. Sometimes, so much in this world is understanding the right question. All right. And you talked about that. Pitch, yaw. and you started flying up, and then you learned about the different airplanes and what it does. And what you learned, I hope, is aviation is a lot about energy management. You either gain airspeed or you gain altitude. You don't get both without adding extra fuel. If I had the same amount of fuel in my airplane, I can either go faster or I can go slower. That's what I'm saying. You can put it on the Google Classroom, yes. Cademan, that's what we're saying, Cademan. All right? All right, now, so fuel leads to altitude or speed. You're taking potential energy, making it a kinetic or a different kind of potential energy. Fuel is potential energy, altitude is potential energy, or speed. Because remember, there's a really important concept in science. Energy is never created nor destroyed. It simply changes format. Whenever you have someone say they're going to make you a perpetual motion machine, oftentimes whatever they're proposing breaks that rule. All right? And you can't all of the potential energy become kinetic energy, you'll lose it as heat. But the energy didn't go away, it just changed forms. And then you flew back and forth. Hopefully, as you look at that, you would look at, hey, if I made the airplane go faster, airspeed faster, by pointing the nose down, and then that would tell us right here, the attitude indicator if you're going up or down, and this one, the altimeter, would tell you if you're higher or lower. And then what you did is trade up potential for kinetic. Point the nose up. One way to do that is to point your nose down. See how fast you're going after a little bit, after 3 seconds. So you lost altitude, but you gained airspeed. Or you point the nose up, you lose airspeed, go slower, but you gain altitude. One or the other. And that's why you're really just trained back and forth. And it's really weird in an airplane, but when you get nervous in an airplane, you actually want to go up higher. Like if you get on an airplane, the hardest thing you ever do is land them. They take off pretty easy. Third or fourth flight, you could be taking off. You hold it straight down the runway, rip it, get it up to speed, rotate back a few degrees, like pull the nose back a little bit, and up you'll go. Landing's the hard part. And that's what you feel then that's why it's usually really fun to take off in a jet. Smooth, you get pushed back, and then that really doesn't change if you ever notice between pilots. It always feels about the same. Landing, though, depends on how good the pilot is and whether they bounce it a little bit. So it's wild on an airplane is if things go, you're going to fly around again, you came up to land and something happens, safest thing to do is to fly up, not to try to force the landing. Get up high. Because if you fly up, you have all the energy. You've taken the kinetic energy and you've made it into potential energy. And then that way you can fly around and you can land if you need to. That's why it's not great when you're landing, because you're both low and you're slow by definition on a landing. You're running at an energy deficit. And so if you're landing and you're coming right down and someone pulls a bus out on the runway, you may not have enough energy you can't stop the plane, you're too low, and you don't have enough energy to get the nose of the plane up. If you do, you'll stall. And we're going to get into that later. But that's why low and slow in an airplane is the time that you get nervous. All right? Now, there's exceptions to that. Landing on aircraft carriers, they go in hot as they can go in. So they can fly right off if there's a problem. All right? And so, point your nose down, you go faster. Kinetic energy is going up as the nose goes down. Point the nose up, you go slower, but you're taking that kinetic energy, you're turning it into potential energy. Any questions on that? We're going to go on to lesson 2. On a side note, there are more lessons than we've done in the past. If you've ever done Fly Learn before. And the kids on Saturday will tell you we made pretty big gliders. We're going to be doing that on Thursday nights and upcoming weeks as well. That you've never built the plane we're building right now. It's pretty sweet. All right. So I'm going to go back here. Go to this one, wait, presentation slides. Give you all a second there. If you haven't, please start your, also, we're going to start X-Plane up in just a moment. So just have it ready to go. In this unit, we're going to be covering forces. We're going to look at weight versus takeoff distance, and the forces during flight. All right. Force is a push or pull, usually in a certain direction. This can expose the magnitude, how large the force, and the direction of the force. So that's telling you 50 newtons, 70-degree direction. This is what's different in speed. So when they say that baseball player is throwing with a velocity of 90 miles an hour, they should be saying that baseball player is throwing a speed of 90 miles an hour. Velocity, they would have to say a velocity of 90 miles an hour going south. You know, you got to give it a directional component. Or at the catcher, I guess, would give you a direction, pointing at the direction, okay? Remember the mass of the airplane. Weight is a force that's a result of mass times gravity. This means if you're on a moon or a planet, you are your mass times weight. This is why you can't be, like if you go out in the space station and where it's orbiting the Earth right now, it weighs nothing practically, but it's still massive. And if you tried to stop it, it would just spin you around like a bug because it's much more massive than you are. When we say the mass of the airplane, it's the wings, tails, landing gear, fuel, payload, all those good things, right? And it's straight down. All right, so what we're going to do today's lab, and what I want you to do on this, is we're going to do some takeoffs. So what's really going to be important, folks, as we do these, is I'm going to wait on you as you do them. And so we got to make the most of our time when we do this. All right? So, first things first, you're going to be on a Cessna on a clear day. And I'm going to show you how to take this off. What I will do now then is we're going to be going to settings, data input and output. And I want you to hit the check boxes at speeds 3, distance traveled, and landing gear vertical forces, 66. I'll show you how to do that in just a moment, all right? So why don't we all take a moment right now? Let's bring on X-Plane. I'm going to show you what I want you to get out of the lesson, show the steps and how to fill out the sheet, and then that way you can do it. I will be here. We'll do it together, but you got to watch what I'm going to show you in the beginning, folks. In terms of handouts, let's see. If you don't have it, download this Fly to Middle School version 1317. If you don't have that, you can fill that out in the future, all right? Or you'll have that for home for all you homeschoolers too. All right, so let me go here. We're going to X-Plane 10. If mine mine's authorized unless someone's already copied my number down. Make sure you're setting on Cessna 172, Tacoma International Airport, KSA. Fly with these options. Also, make sure you have this handout going. For the middle school version, we just have these levels. I have the high school version if you want to go into more down the road. So it has these lessons and some more, depending on your interest. I can't stress it enough. The opportunities to be a pilot right now or any of the aviation careers are just tremendous. So if you think you like this, you can definitely make a living. So you're going to be doing this. This is where you should be on the handout too. So let's be in both these places. Okay, well, what happened to my handout? What happened to my, there it is. There we go. I'm hoping this starts up here. All right. We're in demo mode right now. Now look, what I want you to see in this, if you go under settings, data input and output, you hit speeds, vertical distance traveled, landing gear. That gives us this little box here, and it also allows us to graph it. So raise your hand, everybody, once you got it to that point. So I'm gonna wait here for you to get caught up. Once you have it like that, raise your hands. I think Hannah's got it that way. Good job. Just get it up to here, and I'll show you how to do it. So at least get to this screen. Don't even worry if you don't have the value showing you. I will show you that once you're at this screen. I'll show you how to do it. Mine's loading good. General, I don't care on your weathering, so Anthony. You never want it stormy or super windy. You can't fly in that. All right? Might have to be cloudy on this one. So raise your hand once you're at this screen right here. Now I'm going to show you the settings. All right, folks. By now, you should have your hand raised on the screen now. If you're at this side, please raise your hand because I won't go on because I want to show you how to do what we're going to do, and we're going to work on the lab while we're here. All right, great. Almost have half you. So Anthony, Calder, Logan, Mike, if you're not going to fly, if you're not going to raise your hand, so we're not waiting for you. If, for example, you know you're not going to do it because you're using an iPad, then great. So that way I'm not holding you up. Like Calder, I hope you're getting together, and Mike, you are. So now, here we go. You're going to go into settings, data input output. Under data set, click speeds, 2 clicks there, 3, 21 distance traveled, and landing gear vertical forces. All right. I'm putting everybody's hands down. See if you got to the screen right here. Raise your hand once you've done it. We got to hold up until you do. Calder, Liam, Logan, raise your hand. If either way, I mean, if you don't have the equipment, raise your hand just so we aren't waiting for you. Okay, great. So you've got that, great. Click X back here, and you're going to see it's right here when it's unpaused. And then, so one way to look at everything is to look over here. And if you unpause it, watch my screen. You can actually see, because the gear, that flap, the propeller's going around, you can see the load is actually slightly changing here on the landing gear. Now, in this case, I'm going to follow what we talked about. I'm going to hit pause. There's my white circle, square. I have it against the gray background so you can see a little bit better. I'm going to hit B for brake, turn that off. That brake light just went off. I'm going to hopefully get this down a little bit. I'm going to push my throttle in. All right, I'm going to unpause this. And we're going to do this. You see the propeller might be choppy on your end because the internet has a hard time with these speeds. Now, if I keep it on the runway, notice I'm really not putting the nose up. I'm just getting there. The plane will take off on this runway. Stand the runway, Tom. There, I'm off the ground. I didn't even have to land the throttle that much. Pause. You can look at, well, Shift 8 gives me that view. So there I am, off the ground. All right, now, if I go to settings, data input output, that is, pardon me, C. We're going to show you something right here. A lot of lines here, too many. So let's do this. Let's get off most of these indicated. We'll leave it indicated in miles per hour, ground speed, miles per hour, you know, I don't know what they've got in it. All I care is you keep it same, consistent. I don't care which one of those you pick. You can do it knots up here. You can do it miles. I'm sure there's one for metric here somewhere. All right, go down here. I'm going to get rid of everything but the distance in feet. And then I want the landing gear. And particularly these three right here. All right. Let's see. Those are three there. I'm not sure what these last two are. So here's for the 3 gear here. So, all right, there you go. Now, what we do here is this is the intersection. This is going to give us, and I would actually even change this into, see, they made the pink and pink on this, which is a bit annoying. Because for me, so do miles per hour ground speed right there. You want a different color so I can look up there and compare them. So right there is yellow, miles per hour ground speed, which will find for what we're doing, saying it's 76 miles per hour. And then you're going to come down here to see your distance, 1,343 feet. And if you want to, you can save it to a spreadsheet. You look at it that way as well. All right, now let me see what questions we got over here. All right, now I just said the 2 lines there, all right? No, no, no. You don't have to log in. You don't reload because the crosshairs are unplug your any joysticks. That's why the crosshairs weren't coming up. What lines you select? Let me show you again, Anthony. We'll get everybody back here again. But everybody right here, he was asking data select, as I'm assuming what you meant. The speeds right here, distance travel landing gear forces. Data C, V true here, distance, and these 3 top landing gear. Find out where all the landing gear goes to 0. See right there, the landing gear isn't 0, so there's a force on the landing gear. When all of them are 0 is when the ground, think of it this way, the airplane's off the ground. When the airplane's on the ground, the weight of the airplane is going into the ground. Well, what stops the plane from falling into the ground? Well, the ground does. It exerts an equal force opposite than the weight of the airplane. And that's all going through the landing gear. So the landing gear, and think of it just this way, guys. If we took the airplane, we put it on 3 scales, that loads would be on each one of those wheels. But once we get flying off the ground, there's no load on those wheels anymore. So it's a value of 0. That's where we define as takeoff. Now I'm going to go back over here because I got to answer these questions. Yeah, use the down arrow to see your throttle, Aiden. My propeller doesn't show. Anthony, I'm not sure that matters so much. We don't care if you see the propeller. Make sure you're flying a Cessna 172. Is throttle F2? I think it is. I think it's F1, F2. Decreasing it is F3 and then F4. This is why I'm building a Fusion, a little box that we can have it so people can run it on there. Does that make sense? All right, I'm going to put everybody's hands down. All right. Look up at the screen. Do y'all get this? Raise your hand if you understand how I got this and we're able to check mark it. Good. Does everybody, good, everybody's getting that pretty much. Data C. Do y'all understand how to pull the landing gear there? Raise your hand if you could figure out how we were doing that data to see the data. Sorry, when I moved my mouse over to get to the other thing, I lose this. Do you all get this? I can't figure out if you don't understand or you're not raising your hands. That's what's got me a little bit nervous here, folks. Raise your hand if you understand all this part of it. All right, most people are saying yes. Let me look at the questions for anybody who doesn't, so we go next one. I got it, good. Now, here's what you're doing in the lab then. The next thing you're doing about this, there's my aircraft. There's weight and fuel. When you go to weight and fuel, you're going to change payload weight. 307 to 600 to 900. And then you're going to take off and you're going to see how far you travel down the runway. So again, I did this by going up into aircraft, weight and fuel. There you go. Does that make sense, everyone? So we got weight, and then if you look in here, let me see if I can shrink this down here. Give me a minute. Let me pull this down here. Hopefully I can pull this over here. There we go. So that's going to tell you on the sheet of paper, and if you can get it on an iPad or something, it's even better, or print it out next time. So you're going to do 3 trials. That means you're going to try it, fly it 3 times at 296 pounds, 600 pounds, 900 pounds. The true airspeed, the takeoff distance. I don't care the units, just be consistent. Try to fly it the same one. On that big long runway, you really don't have to pull the nose back. Just see how long it takes for it to take off. So let's go ahead. Let's do this lab now. Instead of me rushing to the next lab, which is what we've done when we've done the past, I want you to take your time and do the lab now. I'm staying here. I'm not going anywhere. Do it and start collecting that data so that way Tom DeToy, when he comes on Wednesday, can talk to you about this one and we can go on to the third one. We actually do a deep dive on this. You understand what's going on. And if you find that you like flying airplanes, there's quite a career right now coming up. All right, folks. Put your hands down. Let me know. What I would say is just to understand what you're doing, do the first trial at around that weight. Doesn't have to be exactly, so pin it in and do it 3 times. And let's look at your takeoff distance. Just like any great test driver, test pilot, try to fly it the same way every time. So if you put your cursor right on the pointer, fine, but do it the same way all 3 times. Push the throttle all the way in. When you've done it 3 times in the first weight, let me know. I'm going to look down here in the questions. I'll see if anybody has any questions on here. Where's the weight and payload? All right. Are we dying by nuts either? We'll call it, we can do by either one. But weight and payload, remember, go under aircraft. Here, I'll show it up here. Go to aircraft, weight and fuel. Weight and fuel right there for you. All right, let me go look at the other questions here. I'm just waiting. All right, good. So you get a range of that. So Calder, he got 3 scores, both airspeed and takeoff distances. To go back, change the weight to 600 pounds and repeat it. That's all we want you to do. And then later at 900 pounds. If you have science fairs, you could actually do these demos as part of this. But you're going to see, I'll just say this as a general statement, that weight is our enemy if you want to go fast and get good fuel mileage. The way they can make cars that both go much faster and have great fuel mileage is they make them lighter. Let me see if anybody else got a question. Raise your hand once you've done a couple trials so I know that you're able to figure this out, please. Excellent. Aiden, Anthony, Cademan, if you have y'all, Hannah, Mike, go ahead and make sure. I'm going to go ahead and look down answers. Oh no, my X-Plane crashed. Oh, that stinks. Just start it over again, try again. And just, try to get a couple trials in. So when you come in Wednesday, we can talk about the results of this and get started on the next lesson. All right? All right. We got half you. Okay, folks. You're going to get a lot more out of this class if you go ahead and get this done. Just take a few minutes to just get those answered. There's a couple questions after this where you then graph it. So get the average of this up here. So you got average takeoff speed at 900 pounds, 600 pounds, 296, 300, right around there. And then calculate that here, and then try to answer these questions. And then we'll get to this down the road. All right. You all have a great evening now. Okay, everyone? I'll look, see if there's any more questions. If anyone's got questions, go ahead and ask it. Turn in your bridge thing Wednesday. And demo time expired. Oh, just go ahead. How do I stop the plane so I can attempt to land? Oh, just do file, a new setup. Oh, great question, Aiden. Let me show you right here. If you go to settings, file, and the only one that used to be there. Go to quick flight setup and you can start over again. All right? Bye, Calder. Again, we have lab Thursday. Again, turn in your stuff by Wednesday noon. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.